Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Blackboard. I am your instructor Hanif Faust, and this is the Level 1A Unit 4 Video Lesson C, dealing with dictionary abbreviations. This lesson is taken directly from your course book in Unit 4, and it covers the first lesson presented in the book, which deals with various abbreviations specific to the Handsword Dictionary, or at least adopted by the Handsword Dictionary. That is our point of reference. So understanding the abbreviations can be very important to understanding definitions and understanding word usage and other aspects of how the dictionary or information in the dictionary is organized. So because of that, we thought it pertinent to cover some of those abbreviations. If you go to the very beginning of the dictionary itself, you'll find that they list numerous abbreviations, but not all those are necessarily pertinent to us as it relates to our study of Arabic, as our study of Arabic is more focused as for religious purposes. Nevertheless, we'll focus on those abbreviations that seem to be the most important for us, and if there are any that you come across that maybe you're not as familiar with or that you're interested in knowing about, then be sure to check the beginning, the introduction to the Handsword Dictionary, or ask your instructor and he can help you find that information, inshallah. So our first abbreviation, let's bring up trusty pen here. Trusty pen. All right. Our first one is colloq, which here is for colloquial. So when a word is colloquial, what that means is that it's used contemporarily. It may not have ancient or historic origins as it relates to the language, but it's how people use the language presently. And so sometimes or oftentimes you'll find, even when they say colloquial, that it's still something that's used in standard Arabic, or it has its origin in standard Arabic, or it has its origin in classical Arabic, I should say. But sometimes there are huge differences. So here, the word that we have here is jawa. So jawa, which would means inside. That's very common for Arabic speech. And you can see here that they even provide, mashallah, the variation for Egyptian Arabic. For Egyptians, for many Egyptians, not all of them, but for many of them, they pronounce, especially those from the city, they pronounce the jim with a ga sound. So they would say goa, as opposed to joa. So they even give you that pronounced goa in Egyptian. That's what that eg means there. Again, because our study of Arabic is not specific to Egyptian Arabic, then we don't really need to know that term, although I just explained it. So I guess if I can repeat myself again, the idea of colloquial are terms that are used commonly amongst the Arabs or amongst a group of Arabs in spoken speech, but it may not be used in classical Arabic, meaning you're not going to see it in the text of the Quran and the Sunnah. Oftentimes, those words themselves have their origins in traditional or classical Arabic words. The next one we have is EG, which is the abbreviation of the Latin exempli gratia. Don't quote me on that when I don't speak Latin. EG is basically giving you an example. It's the abbreviation means for example. So here it says to fix. So you might read to fix and you might think to fix something that's broken. And so they're telling you, no, that's not the type of fix we're talking about. We're talking about fix, meaning prices, to set prices where prices don't change. So when an example is used, it is often used for purposes of clarification. So you'll see that, and it will help you restrict the meaning of the word used, or to show you how that word is used in a certain context. So again, very important word to know. Sometimes the word might be feminine. In Arabic, distinguishing between male and female words is very important. You'll learn a little bit more about that in level 1B, but at least in this level, we just want to know what the abbreviation means and how to look for it. So you'll see an F with a period following it, or you'll see an FEM with a period following it, and that means feminine. So, for example, colors. Colors are masculine and feminine. So, and they each have their own forms. So, ahmar is masculine, and you'll see that again. Other words follow that same pattern. So, aswad is black, asmar is brown, asfar is yellow, akhdar is green. So you can see af'al, af'al, af'al. That's the structure for colors. Whereas feminine colors are on the wazn fa'ala. So hamra, yeah, that's red, but that's feminine red. Sauda, that's black, but that's feminine black. Samra, that's brown, but that's feminine brown. Khadra, that's green, but feminine green. Zarqa, that's blue, but feminine blue, and so on. And then so anyway, many words are broken into or divided into masculine and feminine. Oftentimes you'll know a word is feminine because it'll have the ta marbuta, or the tied up or closed ta on the end. But when it's not that way, then hence where will usually indicate it. If the word has a ta at the end, they're not going to tell you that it's feminine because that's to be assumed. But if it doesn't have a ta marbuta at the end, then that usually indicates they're going to indicate that it's feminine, usually through the F here, or fem. Next, we have the abbreviation of Latin, id est. I don't know again how I pronounce it. That looks French to me. Est. Anyway. Meaning, in other words, you can go on Google and find the pronunciation. This is an Arabic class. I do not take any responsibility for how Latin words are to be pronounced. Yeah. So, Ar-Rahman, the merciful, or the compassionate, however it's translated precisely. At the end of the day, they're saying, in other words, we're still talking about Allah. We're still talking about God. So the fact that even though it's a different term, that we're referring to the same reality, i.e. is basically saying this is another way to say the same thing that just preceded. So Ar-Rahman is another way to call upon Allah. And Allah actually mentions that at the very end of Surah Al-Isra, chapter number 17 of the Quran. He says, قُلِ ادْعُوا اللَّهَ أَوْ ادْعُوا الرَّحْمَنَ أَيَّمَّا تَدْعُوا فَلَهُ الْأَسْمَاءُ الْحُسْنَى. Say, call upon Allah or call upon Ar-Rahman, whichever one you call upon, to him and only to him belongs the most beautiful names and qualities. So the idea that Allah says, call him Allah or call him Ar-Rahman, whichever name you use, it indicates the same reality that we see here in front of us in terms of the dictionary entry. Number 5, sometimes you'll see an Islamic law reference, and that's what that means here, the capital ISL, Islam, and then law. So this is an Islamic legal term, which doesn't mean it has to do with halal or haram necessarily, but it has to do with Islamic regulations. So Isha is the evening, but Isha Islamically refers to, or is the name of, the evening prayer, the final prayer of the night, the final mandatory prayer. And so you can see an example of it used linguistically in the Quran. Allah mentions in Surah Yusuf, after they kill their brother, you're welcome to reference it, or not kill their brother, after they cast him in the well, and then they come back to their father, it says, وَجَاءُوا أَبَاهُمْ عِشَاءً يَبْكُونَ. وَجَاءُوا أَبَاهُمْ عِشَاءً يَبْكُونَ. They came to their father crying at Isha. And they came to him at the prayer? No. They came to him at the time, in the evening. They came to him in the evening. So Isha linguistically, because Yusuf and Yaqub and that family, alayhim salam, they don't legislate for Islam. So there's no way to take away the Islamic legislation reference that we get when we look in the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ and we see the word Isha used for prayer. So the reason why it can be linguistic even in the Quran is because the context dictates that it's linguistic. Because again, we don't take our legislation from the time of Yaqub alayhi salam and Yusuf alayhi salam and his brothers alayhimus salam. We take it from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So here, when they say they came to their father isha'an, they came to their father in the evening. Whereas if you see isha in a hadith, you're going to assume naturally that it's prayer unless there's something to indicate otherwise. So Islamic law lets us know when the term may have some legal or religious significance in Islam. Number 6, just like we have words that are feminine, we have words that are masculine. The basic rule, the default rule, is that a word is masculine unless proved otherwise. However, sometimes, as here, they'll indicate that a word can be masculine or feminine. Sometimes it's treated both ways. So the word lisan, which is the old term for language, they used to call it lisan. Lisan is also a tongue, the tongue that you have in your mouth. So it's a masculine and feminine word. So you see there the M, and you also see the F. But again, usually because masculine is the default, they're usually not going to indicate masculine unless it's both masculine and feminine. Next one, the abbreviation OS is used to talk about one's self. So usually this will be used with verbs. So when you do an action, but you're doing the action to yourself, then they'll use OS. So here it says laha, which means to amuse oneself, to distract oneself. So it's not just to amuse. That would be elha, which would be form 4, and we don't want to get into that. I'm just, laha is to just, be distracted. And this is where the word lahu comes from, which is, you can see right there as the masdar. When Allah talks about the dunya being lahu wa la'ib, that it's distraction and play. Yeah, so laha is to distract oneself, to divert oneself. SO, on the other hand, OS was oneself. SO is someone. And sometimes STH is also used. So we have SO. Trusty pen, I can't see you. There you go. We have SO and we have STH. That means someone and something, respectively. So khashiyah, to fear, dread, someone, something, for ala, someone or something. So you can use someone, SO, and STH means someone or something. And again, they're usually going to be found with a verb. The final abbreviation that we're going to focus on is PL. PL is for plural. So generally, the way the Hands Word Dictionary works is that when they give you a word that's an ism, a non-verb, when they give you a word, they're going to show you the transliteration, and then they're going to show you any plurals that exist for the word and the English transliteration, the English representation for the plural. So if you look at this definition here, how would you read this? Well, first you have udda, and udda means readiness and preparedness. Okay? Then you see the line here. The line here means we're going to a new definition. This udda doesn't have a plural. If it had a plural, the plural would come before the definition. So here, another meaning for udda is equipment, outfit, implement, instrument, tool, gadget. It is this meaning or these meanings of udda that have a plural. So when udda is used for readiness or preparedness, then there's no plural for that. But when you see a plural, which is udad, so they show you the Arabic because it's different from the singular form, the structure is different. Then they show you the English transliteration. Then they give you the definition for the singular. They give you the definition for the singular. So equipment. So if you want to say pieces of equipment, then that would be udad. If you want to say tools, that would be udad. If you want to say gadgets, that would be udad. If you want to say equipment, one piece of equipment, udda. So same word, but PL is used to show that this word has plurals. So it shows you the plural form. It shows you the PL that it has a plural, but you are the one that is going to have to add the S and so on in English. So PL is important. We go into details on plural forms when we get to level 1C of the Accessible Arabic course. Okay, so let's look at some examples from your book. So you were asked to look at the Handsword Dictionary excerpts that are in your book altogether. I believe you have 5. And you are to circle all of the abbreviations found, meaning the ones that we've covered, and in each expert, and explain them on the line provided. So there's a line below this, as you'll see in your course book. So we're only focusing on the abbreviations that we have studied. So you can always pause. Remember, anytime we have a video, you can pause it and see if you can do the exercise on your own. I'm going to go ahead and go and do it because you have the ability to pause the video. So our first one is F here for feminine. So that lets us know that the word shems, which is used for sun, as you can see here, is a feminine word, even though it doesn't have a ta marbuta on the end. So qamar, which is moon, is masculine, but shems, which is sun, is feminine. Okay. Next, we see PL, which is plural. And so what I want you to notice here is, again, first you get the word, then you get the English transliteration. Now we get plural. Then they give us the Arabic for the plural because it's different in structure to the singular. If it were the same letters as the singular, just different vowels, then they wouldn't give you they wouldn't rewrite the Arabic here. Then they give you the transliteration for the plural, shumus, so suns. And then after that, suns meaning suns in the sky, not sons like children. Then after that, they give you the definition. So the plural comes before the definition, and that's important, again, to understanding the structure of the Handsword Dictionary or the organization. We also have this abbreviation here, which means this is for astronomy. So Samta Shems means an eclipse or ecliptic. So that's an astronomical term. That's not a part of the terms that we want to necessarily know or that are important for us, but that information is provided. But what I would expect you to do is only to do plural and feminine. One more example, Shamsiya, which is a colloquial term, as you can see there. Shamsiya is an umbrella, or shamasi is the plural for that. But a shamsiya that's a colloquial term used for an umbrella. Why would it be called what would it have to do with the sun if it's an umbrella? Well, umbrellas are used for different purposes. It's used for people who live near rain to protect them from the rain. For people who live in the sun when it's hot, an umbrella makes a big difference. So here, because of their context and reality, then it's seen as a protection from the sun as opposed to the protection from the rain. As a matter of fact, you'll find that in Arab countries that are desert countries, that when it rains, people go outside, and that's when they go to they go outside to eat and to picnic and those types of things, because they enjoy the water from the sky and they see it as a blessing, because they know what it's like not to have. They know what it's like for things to dry up. They know what it's like to have drought. So when drought is a reality, and you realize that as long as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is sending rain down on you, that, he still has some mercy in store for you, inshallah, then you begin to look at things differently. And that's why looking at things with the Islamic paradigm, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala encourages us, and the Prophet encourages us to look at things, is the most important way. The rain is a chance for dua. It's a chance for a person to supplicate. It's not something that ruins your day. Yeah, it makes travel a little bit difficult, but so do lots of other things. It's a blessing. Wallahi, if Allah were to cut off the rain from us, we'd be in trouble. So Shamsiya is a colloquial term. Again, it's used for it's used in common speech, but of course they didn't have umbrellas during the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Also, we have PL here, which means plural, and then they add the AT. This means you would add an aleph and a ta to make the plural. That's another way to make the plural. So that would be shamsiyat. Shamsiyat, but we haven't taken that as of yet, and that's something you take, again, when we look at plurals in the level 1C course. Okay, so you would focus on, in this exercise here, on PL and colloquial. Okay, and with that, we have concluded our video dealing with dictionary abbreviations from the Handsware Dictionary. Your teacher will assign for you exercises to support what we've covered in this video. Thank you very much for making the time to tune in and for taking the time to view this. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.